Welcome in the ring, folks. Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Let's fight, folks. Let's fight. Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. I hope you guys have been in training. Quite a program for you. I'm making sure my notes are set. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Good to see each and every one of you here. Good to see each and every one of you. We love having you guys on board with us. And we're gonna get things started. So, and as you know, folks, it's Wednesday. When you come on, we ask that you share the live stream on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. You give us a share. And I'm going to be doing just that as we wait some of the others to join us. Y'all know I don't like to start without having everybody, because people are going to want to know what happened when we started. They want us to go back and all manner of gymnastics. And frankly, I ain't there so. We ain't there so tonight. So we're going to wait till everybody's here, and then we're going to have a go at it, folks. So while you are sharing, because I know you're going to be sharing, I am sharing as well. Lots to talk about, including Sparendaam. Sparendaam. What happened at Sparendaam today? What happened at Sparendaam today, folks? Huh? That's what I want to know. What happened at Sparendaam today? So much happening. So much happening, folks. Good to see each and every one of you here. And again, let me share. Let me take an opportunity to share. And that is what we're advising each and every one of you. Take an opportunity to share. Don't be stingy now. It's 2021. It's a new year. I'm certain you guys made some New Year's resolutions as well. Take the opportunity. That's how you help us. That's how each and every one of you. And again, I say, lots of you think it's only up to the opposition, the MPs, to hold this government accountable. We can all hold this government accountable in various ways. And one of those ways is in which you share the live stream, folks. Share the live stream. And that is what we invite you guys to do this evening. Share this live stream. Who's in the ring tonight? Sparendaam. The question lots of people ask. Who in the ring tonight? Sparendaam, ladies and gentlemen. Sparendaam. So we invite you, each and every one of you, 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗬𝗪 and all the others. 𝗪𝗵cie going to be telling me tomorrow, why don't you call me? All right, share, folks. We're going to start in a bit. We're watching the number. You know, we always wait until we are at that magic number, and then we start the proceedings. We don't want to start without anybody. I have my notes. And just to alert you very early, we're going to start with our close-up segment. Our guest this evening has some other commitments and asked to be earlier in our program time than we usually have. Usually we have our close-up for the second half of our program. But our guests, and we always want to make our guests comfortable and accommodate them in whatever way possible. Guys, how is it at work? Y'all got any problems today, or y'all were good little angels? Anybody got any problems today? Or you are all just good little angels? Y'all can tell me. Come on, folks, y'all can tell me. Were we all good little angels or not? If you're at work still, we're happy that you're joining us. So many people join us from across the board. And look, something I have to highlight, and I will not be able to do it properly this evening, but I promise you guys, I am going to do it. I am going to do it properly. We have this whole issue. Every time I go at one of the gas stations, I keep hearing the name of the human resource manager or officer keeps coming up all the time. They say since this manager has come on board, that's how staff leaving the job. And they're leaving because they want to leave. They're leaving because they're being fired. So I say that to say, really and truly, because I want to deal with that. I want to unpack that, as my colleague Randy Critchlow would say, unpack that more fully in another program. But just to say, I am so heartened that so many of those persons, those pump attendants or whatever other name they are called, watch In the Ring and come for the hot topics. They come for the close-up segment, and they want to know a good night to all. Except, I think they want to see this HR manager featured there. That is my sneaky suspicion. They want to see the HR manager featured in Good Night to All, except that is my layman's view of things. And we love to give the people what they want. So, folks, if you're joining us, we invite you, we ask you to share the live stream. If you're on Twitter, give us a retweet there. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe. And there are lots of emojis too on YouTube that can be used and utilized. If you're on Facebook, give us a share. Tag a friend of me. It's fast. Look, everybody want to know what's happening. Folks, I wore my blue tie again this evening. And this is probably the third night in a row I'm wearing my blue tie. This, I think, is my lucky tie. It's a little old now, but I'm most comfortable in this blue tie. So if you're saying, oh God, like he hasn't changed yet, I changed my shirt, I think I changed the jacket, but the tie, I love this. I love solid color ties. We're almost nearing that number, and it may be that we take our program in the regular programming. It may be. I'm still holding to see. But my guest did ask to be featured earlier in the program. And again, I aim to please. I aim to please. I'm going to hold, and we are going to be talking about some governance issues and some stuff that was mentioned quite recently pertaining to the coalition government's tenure in office. And, we got to set the record straight sometimes, and we need some straight arrows to help us to do that, some straight arrows. And so my guest is one of those persons, and I delight in talking to my guests. So I'm holding to see. If not, I'm ready for the to take our program in the other direction, in its usual course of things. Guys, how are you doing? How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are good. And as you come on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, give us a share, folks. Give us a share. Last night when the program was finished and I checked, we were well over 10,000 views. And that is very, very heartening. And my sneaky suspicion, again, is that a lot of people, because they support the PPP, can't be seen sharing this program back to the profiles. So they come and watch, they come and soak up the information, but they... I still black son, you can't take home to the parents. I am the black son. We're going to run around, we're going to fool around, and so on. But once I start getting serious, you're going to be tough, because I am the son you can't carry home to the parents. I don't know how else to put it. But folks, I really delight in having each and every one of you. Whether you belong to the PPP, I know you're going to get converted and you're going to come up to AFC. I know you're tired of the foolishness that these guys doing. I know you're tired. Some of you are just ashamed to admit it. You're just ashamed to admit it. You're all ashamed of the PPP and all this foolishness that they're doing since the 2nd of August. It's like not a day goes by when some crap doesn't happen. Some crap is said. Some crap is done from the crappy, fraudulent government. So that is where we are, folks. If my guest comes on, I might have to interrupt regular programming, but I don't think I want to. Almost there, and I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long. I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long at all. So I might have to go to regular programming. I just might. I'm going to watch another few minutes and see, but I just might have to go to regular programming. I'm still watching to see. I'm ready to go, and I hope that you guys too. I hope that you guys are ready to go as well. All right, we're going to get going in just Just a few. Just a few. Just a few. Don't get worried, folks. All right. Almost ready. All right. Just in case my guest comes when we're on, I might just interrupt. I just might. All right. So if you guys are ready, I just might. If you guys are ready, topics. Hot topics. Just in case you don't know, well, I was just about to start. And here comes my lovely guest. And as I said, I love having this guest on, and I want to accommodate her. Now that you know, let's welcome the one and only 𝗪𝗫ci 𝗜Ｈ 𝗵𝗁. 𝗪𝗫ci, very good evening and welcome. How are you doing now? Just check your audio for me. I think it might be still off.
Yes. Good night, Sharon. How you doing?
You look like you're ready to fight. I hear yes.
We gonna see. We gonna see.
You are ready to go. 𝗪𝗫ci, welcome, and thanks to you. We have to turn our program. We have to turn our program upside down. We're taking the close-up segment first, and then we're going to touch on the hot topics. 𝗪𝗫ci, we had a very bizarre press conference yesterday. And I know you studied law, you've practiced law, and so you understand complexities, complex issues, and you might even understand a bit of madness to it, to a certain extent. You know, I'm certain in the legal fraternity, you had to deal with 1 and 2. Help us to make sense of what transpired yesterday at the press conference of I would say, the fraudulent Vice President, 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏.
Well, which aspect, Sharon? I mean, you helped me here, because
a lot was said. A lot was said. I mean, I don't know if it was a press conference to promote the new AFC, because we were mentioned so often, as against their own plans and policies. But let's pick up at some of these things they are trying to give shelter to. For instance, I saw in a very bizarre way the Vice President saying on the trawler issue that this person is known to the minister, and he was assured that it's not a ghost. I mean, I've never heard something like that. I mean, like, why hasn't this trawler owner or licensee been interviewed by any media house? And so the Vice President came out to tell the nation two trawler licenses were issued. For a long time, the Minister of Agriculture didn't want us to know who they were issued to. But now we can get a face of this person. So here was the Vice President telling us it's an actual real person. It's not an avatar.
Look, Cheryl, I disagree with you with one thing that you said, and that is that the Vice President came out to tell the nation. The Vice President didn't come out to speak to the nation. The Vice President came out to speak to the PPP supporters. You have to understand, when the PPP pulled up 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏, when you see that happens, understand that the PPP know that they are floundering, that they are fumbling, and that they are bumbling. And so they need to bring out this God-like figure who enjoys a cult-like following to say what he has to say. So he didn't come out to speak to the nation. He came out to speak to the supporters.
Just let me stick this in. I found it very strange that yesterday you had that press conference, and then you had the head of state, Ferdinand Irfan Ali, giving a statement on an initiative by the oil companies here, and that seemed to have taken second fiddle in terms of even the publication in state news, because, as you said, the godlike figure spoke yesterday.
And that is what it really is. And so it's time that we begin to understand that when 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏 comes to speak, he knows this is what Barajagdeo understands. He understands well that the PPP base don't do research, they don't question. If he says A, it is A, and they will defend that. Sorry?
You're reading my script. Somebody has given you my script and my
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I mean, we just have to say it for what it is. So he can come out and say something like passing legislation to ensure no voter fraud and so on and so forth, catering to what he knows is the bloodthirstiness, as it were, of his supporters, of his base.
That is the red meat.
You have to understand that the man knows how to pander to his base, you know. And so he tells them what they want to hear, and because he knows that they don't stop to check if it's true, if it's false. You know, there's no fact checking. So he come out and said there's no ghost in terms of the travel license. Ain't got no ghost. No critical thought is applied to the information received, and he understands that very well. Now you come to elections to say that you're gonna remove Lohengrin, you're gonna remove this body, you're gonna remove that body, but a person who is using their brain would say, okay, if you are interested in free and fair elections, how about a clean voters list? How about a new voters list?
Yeah.
You understand? But he knows that his supporters are, they don't, you know,
that
they
is the holy water.
They don't think critically. So you can come and tell him, you can say, no, Lohengrin. Same Lohengrin that was at GCOM when they win 2 elections prior. And so you don't ask for a clean voters list. You do not make a big to-do about providing money in the budget for house to house and for the construction of a new list. Anybody who's interested in free and fair elections, every report has said to go back to elections with that list would be doing Guyana a disservice. Carrie Common quarter report says so. OS said that. The Carter Center said that. So who does he think he's fooling when he comes to talk about moving Lohengrin and creating penalties for electoral fraud? We're not talking about a new voters list, please.
This is the fraud. You mentioned something earlier, and that's why I said you're probably reading my script, that these folks don't like to read, they don't like to do any deep thinking. You can accuse them of deep thought and so forth and studying hard. I mean, the man doesn't have an earned PhD. Some backwater university give him a PhD and he's doctor all of a sudden, and you can't address him otherwise. You know. In that press conference yesterday, a lot of pressure came to bear because they promised to reopen the sugar estates, and yet we see Wales is now being converted to a gas to shore project. And he came into heavy criticism, the regime, the fraudulent regime, for not doing any studies. All of a sudden, 4 studies will be done by year, right? So they pick a spot and say, this is the spot for the gas to shore project. And now they're going to do the studies.
You know,
I am very concerned when you go down into that low tone. I know something is coming. You know,
no, listen, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because the nonsense abounds. And you know what is the saddest part of it? The people who support the government do not for 1 minute stop and say, well, okay, I am being robbed in this. Me as a Guyanese, I am getting shortchanged. No, they're not interested in that. It's about pointing fingers to the ANU. They said this is why in the press conference, the vice president could have been saying that all we talk about is race, because the vice president understands that the minute Guyana tackles the issue of race, he loses every bit of a footing that he has. Because that party thrives on race hate, they thrive on ethnic conflict, and they thrive on fearing the others. And so you deliberately set up these constructions about the other race, who in hungry belly. So you have these set up constructs, and he understands the minute public discourse begins to happen and people begin to be informed, the hold is broken because people understand immediately that, hey, I deserve more. You are holding me in a prison of fear to support you, when the truth is that this man that does not look like me is able to provide me with a better quality of life, but you have me in fear. And so this is why he's deathly afraid of the race issue. He is deathly afraid of Guyana tackling the race issue, because he understands that is where he wins his power share. And so, but again, he has a base that if he said this blue thing is green, that is it. He has said it is green, and so be it. So I think we have a long way to go in terms of cracking this very tough shell on the race conversation. Because can you imagine, you have a leader of a country, or a purported leader of a country, that is suggesting that a conversation on race is a bad thing? But as a man, like, you can't talk to a racist about race. It's like how you can't talk to a thief about thieving. So so there is where we are. There is where we are.
Amenza, as an aside, I found it quite interesting that two of the ethnic relations commissioners have come out to say that in not so fast, Cathy Hughes, with this not guilty verdict by the chair and the rest of the commission, we haven't had our say. I find it quite interesting in that very context that you speak.
Of course. I frankly think that the ERC in its current composition is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. And you see, the problem is, and continues to be, Sharon, that we are so caught up in petty politics that we cannot understand that, you cannot understand that having these discourse, getting to the bottom of this, redounds to your benefit. But no, we have a lot of proving, offending, and proving and offending, and in keeping us in conflict. That is how that stranglehold is maintained. That is how that stranglehold is maintained. Because deep in our psyche, there is a need for a feeling of supremacy for some reason. I have to see that. I do not see that person as my brother. I do not see that person as my equal. I have to be superior to that person for some reason. And I think it is a colonial construct that has been embedded in our psyche very, very deeply in the Guyanese psyche. And unfortunately, at a time when we should be, in a postmodern era where this should be a non-issue, it is front and center an issue again. And so, this is where we are. This is where we will continue to be unless and until we can decide, what, enough is enough. We deserve a better Guyana.
MP, in that winding press conference yesterday by Mr. Jagdeo, 5 months later, he's trying to convince us that their first budget was a poor budget. He's trying to convince us. I say use the COVID handouts as a barometer. And if that was a poor budget, why so many Guyanese hungry for $25,000? If that was a poor budget that made a difference in the life of Guyanese?
Look, it is difficult for me to fathom what is going on, but I understand, because he is, of course, pandering to his base. He has to make sure that he goes out there and feeds his minions information and so on, so they could come on like shows like In the Ring and spout foolishness. But of course, we are a bunch who believe in proper discourse, and we will speak, and we will have our We'll have our speech informed by our intellect. So the point I want to make in that regard is, why didn't the public servants get an increase? If this is so pro-poor, why the trend that had been started of giving the public servants a substantial increase, why was that not done? Why, if this $25,000 is intended to provide support and to stimulate the economy, why was it distributed house by house by house in some villages and areas, but in the pro-APNU areas, you got to show your bank statement and all of these
Your
things.
bed size,
Yes. And so,
your personal
and
stove.
so whenever he speaks, what he does is that he indicts himself. Just like the Minister of Education said no smart classrooms were put up since 2014.
Well, you
And
have to understand that that minister isn't very smart at all. So what can one expect?
I mean, I've considered her to be a smart person. Certainly you'd fact check these things.
Well, she has rebutted that presumption.
Well, Sharon, I have to rest my case. I do not have
I know your time is limited. Let me get into other questions before you have to run off.
Sure.
A lot was said yesterday in that, again, very winding press conference, all that the APNU didn't do, and all of this kinds of foolishness. You have budget coming up. Tomorrow is Parliament. Is going to be an interesting day. What are your thoughts? The president is supposed to be visiting the National Assembly tomorrow.
No, I don't have any thoughts. I suppose it is his prerogative to so do. One way or the other, I have no thoughts on that particular matter. But Sharon, it is important that we continue to bring information to our people, and it is important that we continue to challenge that very false narrative that the PPPC is seeking to put out into the population. It is very, very important. Key things. Look at the issue of Exxon and the flaring, etc.
Yes.
I mean,
and on that note, Mr. 𝗏𝗂 said it is unacceptable, the level of flaring. But why can't they do something about it? I mean, these are the bad men of our time. I mean, this is the bad man, 𝗏𝗂 and Nandalal, who like to carry people up the full step and so on.
But when your hand in tiger mouth, you got a patty head. And that is the hazard of being an installed regime. You no longer self-determine. Your actions are controlled and are dictated by external forces. That is what happens when you prostitute yourself to the highest bidder. So Exxon could be flaring all they want, and you dare not say anything, because remember how you reach where you reach.
Exxon flaring up.
That is the reality of it. Dr. Vincent Adams came and said that, look, in Exxon's permit, this is not allowed. Thou shalt not flare. All of these things were written into the permit. What to do? They move Dr. Adams and put a former school teacher to head the EPA. You remove a man who has a career in this thing of over 30-something years in one of the most advanced oil economies in the world, the USA. Because you don't want him there. And then you have the temerity to come to preach about your hands are tied. You tied your hands yourself. And if Guyanese could not, and listen, I am keenly waiting to hear the environmentalists. I'm waiting to hear the environmentalists. They know to make a lot of noise about the mangroves. What happened now?
Yeah.
Where are their voices now? Oh, we got billboards. I am not hearing the so-called environmentalists. The fisher folk are saying that our fishing stock are at an all-time low. I am not hearing the environmentalists, but we have a ghost trawler owner.
Yeah.
You understand? Our fisher folk, as the people out on the water say, we taking blows, MP. We taking blows. The fishes like the fish disappear. But the PPP wants to come to palaver.
Correct, is right.
And then their supporters believe that you're going to be deterred by insults or stupidness that they may want to say. Well, they have another thing coming because it doesn't work like that. Guyana belongs to Guyanese, and we have to preserve the patrimony for our children and our children's children.
Yeah. Just before I let you go, your area of expertise, your area of responsibility as a parliamentarian is foreign affairs. Coming out of the press conference yesterday, one is left to ask, who is running this country? Is it 𝗫𝗏 𝗧𝗵𝗲, is it 𝗪𝗏, or is it 𝗁𝗏? The vice president said to us yesterday that it pulled back on the Taiwan agreement because it was not sanctioned by cabinet. It is mind-boggling.
And you believe that? Do you believe that? You believe the control freakism that is characteristic of that particular individual. Something like that could happen without cabinet's approval. But you know what?
I asked the
This
questions
is going to be, sorry, we in the ring. So, no, but the point is that his supporters are never going to think that. They're going to spew a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
You believe that 𝗪𝗏 would not know? Like, you understand who that man is? So for you to come out now to try to make poor Houghton the scapegoat, like he went off on a frolic of his own and signed something since January 11th, you know. Since January 11th. I mean, come on. Come on. But you know what? Again, Guyanese will never decide, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to hold you accountable because it can't be. It's like a man boring out your eye and telling you, no, he boring out your eye.
And then you got to tell me thank you too.
And then you got to say thanks and bless you. And it is so, it's mind-boggling to me how we as Guyanese of even average intelligence could just accept these explanations of our politicians and not hold them accountable. Where are the environmentalists?
Correct.
Who is inquiring why the fish stocks are so depleted? But here now, we got an agreement with the US to go run behind illegal fishing. When the fishing even there for you to fish?
So, the fisher. Like the bishop.
That's another story for another day, Sharon.
Like, no, you have to run. I don't want to detain you any longer than necessary.
I got another 5 minutes. That's fine.
Great. You know, where do we go from here? I mean, I don't see when I listen to a press conference like we heard yesterday. When I look at what's happening, I don't see a coherent plan. I see like a cook shop mentality. You wake up tomorrow, something hits you in your head, and then you run and do something. There is nothing thought out here.
You can't have a coherent plan when you are beholden to so many different people. This is why it is important that we understand that the policy of the foreign policy stance of non-alignment that Guyana took. We're a small state. We can't get caught up in the politics of the big state. We cannot, we can't tango on that level. This is why for all of our years since independence, we have taken a non-aligned position. We hosted the first non-aligned conference here in Guyana, and that posture was for a reason.
And monument to prove.
Absolutely, that posture will be that posture was for a reason. But of course, it does not serve the interest of the PPP to preserve that. So we barter and we broker and we make promises, and this is the manifestation of that. This is the manifestation of that, Sherrod. So we are approaching a point of no return. Unless the people of Guyana begin to demand better, we are rapidly approaching a point of no return. When you can have ministers making statements that are so palpably false that one Google search can tell you that they're wrong and they're lying, but you have a bunch of people who would go down the line defending that and saying, yes, it's okay, lie to me. Please lie to me. Then with the Guyana, where are we going? Where are we going, Sherrod? And sometimes you sit down and you look at in amazement at how the people of Guyana, a majority of us, do not demand better from the government. So I am, I am not heartened by it at all. I had hoped to see differently, but I guess, we're not going to see that. We're going to continue along this line of victimization. More people are going to lose their jobs. Look, Sherrod, we were in Region 10 on an outreach. We were accused that we went to Linden alone. So it is like these people construct a narrative and they reside there. So it's like there's no rational thought can get in. There's no penetrating that. There's no penetrating that. It is public knowledge. We've been Taichuni, we've been 𝗁𝗏𝗏, all of that. But we were told we went to Linden alone. Like,
why they don't mind their own damn business?
No, they're interested in what we're doing here because it is unnerving them, and it is showing them for who they are. And this is why they needed to draw out 𝗪𝗪 out of their arsenal yesterday, so that his followers, but say, well, he says so he got to so.
Another thing we saw coming out of that press conference yesterday is this whole idea that we are here to dismantle what David Granger did. We're here to dismantle the Bertrand Collins College. We're here to dismantle aspects of the public service. We're here to dismantle things in Linden, the ambulance brigade that served the community, the NDMA staff who were there, the data entry clerks. We are here to dismantle. We are here to break down. We are here to pull down everything that they have built. Is this how government works? Is this how we're going to get developed as a nation?
Well, I can answer you that. I can answer you that, and the answer is no. And the answer is no. And you see,
Sarah?
You see, you don't even have. You see, listen. When you're dealing with an administration that behaves as though they have a right to Guyana, that is what they do. They are very revisionist in their attitude. They try to revise history. One body did say that the Africans did not contribute anything to building Trinidad and these places and so on. So they're very revisionist in their propaganda. And so Guyana will have a difficulty having seeing development, because if a government don't even have the humility to say, you know what, the previous administration, that was a good idea, we will keep that.
Yeah.
You see, that is a hallmark. That is a hallmark of humility, being able to acknowledge, hey, even if you don't agree on everything, this was good, and comment. You don't see that. Instead, you see a rabid attempt to just wipe away every initiative, and then you clothe it as if it was a political machinery and all of that. When you look at certain states, you will see Singapore, a lot of Commonwealth countries have colleges that train public servants to deliver efficient public service. But guess what? We actually, some of us, do seem to prefer a public service where you can go and pass a little thing and you're going to get through.
And some of these ministers actually need the public service training. Some of them need to go to that college.
Well, you see, this is the point, because you have to understand where ministries intersect. You have to understand how government works, etc. And so this is what that college was doing.
Yeah.
And so you had people returning to the public service who had an idea or an understanding of how public service should be delivered. But no, we don't want that. And the saddest part about it is that they know that they have a base that they can, notwithstanding even some of the people in their base benefited from this training.
Correct. Correct.
You understand? This was
Correct.
a most multi-ethnic, across the board type of thing, and you were pleasantly surprised and pleasantly happy to see the cross section of persons that attended that college. But guess what? They know that all they got to invoke is was gradually using it for your own good, and the majority of their base, who cannot even stop to think,
Yeah.
to exercise some independent thought, gonna say, hey, well, he been close them because Granger been a use them for do whatever. And that is the reality of where we are, and we have to stop sugarcoating it. That
Correct.
is the reality of where we are. So Sharon, I'm afraid that we have a lot of work to do. Um, fora
Very
like
well.
this,
Let's get to it.
fora
Let's get
like
to
this
it.
play a very important role in helping to bring that level of awareness. And let me tell you, sometimes, Sharon, I'm looking at your program and you could see the trolls all up in the
Oh, yeah.
comments because they're
Well
paying
paid out of
attention
office to the
and they
president
don't want
and
to admit, they cannot admit that
DPI.
they're
Yeah.
being taught.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
the speaker apparently pays attention to your program
But I
very,
hope
very
he's tuned in
closely.
this
So,
evening. We have some
so
other
you
stuff in
see,
store for him.
well, Sharon, but these fora like these are very important in terms of bringing information to our people, in terms of keeping our people um, informed and up to date, and as well bringing some schooling to the very supporters who just seem to be, incapable of independent thought.
Exactly. We need a much more educated populace.
Which
Amanda, I
is
want to
why,
thank you for.
Sherrod, we want to reopen the sugar plantations, because if you're busy working there, cutting cake, you don't worry about the higher education and we
Yeah.
can control you.
Well said. Well said. Amanda, thanks for coming by. It's always a privilege
Thank
having
you,
you.
Sharon. It's
And I
always a
told you the
pleasure.
last time you came by. When you come on this show, don't have anything to do afterwards. Good. I finished talking.
So
I don't talk.
listen, my humblest of apologies. I will make sure that there is no
Just to make up for it.
scheduling conflict.
Great.
All right, take
Thanks,
care, my
Amanda.
brother. Thanks for having me.
Great.
All right, bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, 𝗪𝗏 who has responsibility for foreign affairs and has vast knowledge on so many other issues, a trained attorney, practicing attorney, and it's always such a privilege to have her. Folks, let's head to our hot topics. I know some of you guys have been standing by. And right off the bat, we aren't going to waste any time. Share the live stream. If you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, give us a share, folks, and let's get into our hot topics for this evening. As I said earlier, tomorrow in the National Assembly, we have with us the fraudulent 𝗪𝗏 𝗧𝗵𝗲. We have the fraudulent 𝗪𝗏 𝗧𝗵𝗲, who is going to be with us tomorrow, folks. The fraudulent 𝗪𝗏 𝗧𝗵𝗲. And I want to get a sense from you guys. What do you think, might be our approach tomorrow, or should be our approach tomorrow? I mean, he is coming, and you guys know these folks. We've seen some of their actions in the past, and I want to remind you who these folks are. I want to remind us who these folks are. Take a listen. Fraudulent bunch. So again, that was in 2017, November 2nd, if I remember correctly, when President David Granger, His Excellency, visited the National Assembly. That was the PPP in all of their glory. That was the PPP in all of their glory there, and we're going to look at that and see, where do we go from here? And lots of people have been saying what our stance should be. But as you guys know, we are nice, decent, quiet people. Nice, decent, quiet people. So the PPP is allowed to go into Parliament and to bring placards and to protest Granger and all of that. But we are nice, decent, quiet folks. You know how things are. So what is the thought of you guys? What is the thought of you guys? Apologies for that. There's a call for justice happening this evening. Let's take a listen. A call for justice today. So that was outside of the Sparendaam police station just today. Family is calling for justice. Their son was shot down by the police, and they think that this family was. I'm going to fix the sound. Apologies. Yeah, this family was. His son was shot down. The casket was sent out there, was placed in front of the police station, and there was just mayhem out there today. It was just mayhem, folks. Again, the family calling for justice. That is what they were asking for. They were asking for justice, and I'm going to ensure that I share another portion of that for you, for those persons who would not have captured all of it. I want to play a portion of it for you.
Breaking news, wherever you're joining this broadcast from, we're coming to you live from the Sparendaam police station. Get back, get back, get back. The police aiming, get back. The family of a man. What's your name? Hold up.
What happened? My nephew?
want his death investigated? You want his death investigated?
Yes, I want justice. That I got something to show you.
So folks, we are following that, and we're going to have the latest on that for you. We are still following what are all of the facts in that case, but that was the scene outside of the sorry about that. That was the scene outside of the Sparendaam police station just today, and we are following all of those events, and we're going to have the latest for you as it happens. We're turning our attention now in the hot topics to, again, this fraudulent government. We're turning our attention there, and as you know, we had our outreach to Region 10 over the weekend, and a lot of lies. The PPP are trying to spread in an effort to minimize the effectiveness of what we did over the weekend. But this is what you get from a fraudulent government. What do you expect from a fraudulent government? And you had none other than the good bishop, quote unquote, the good bishop, making quite a lot of comments about our trip to Linden. The good bishop making quite a lot of comments about our trip to Linden. And I want to bring you a portion of that this evening, a portion of his lies. We're going to bring you a portion of that. Just bear with me. I mean, for somebody who professes to be a man of the cloth, my God, my God, folks. For somebody who professes to be a man of the cloth. Listen to what he had to say.
The board. Minister Harmon and his MPs went to Linden. It's our philosophy of how we serve. Our philosophy is that we are pro-people, pro-poor, pro-development. So we look out for the ordinary man, while the APNU AFC looked out for the elite, friends, family, and cronies. And then
there you have it, folks. Mr. 𝗁 trying to convince us that they look out for the poor. He's trying to convince us. Imagine that, trying to convince us. But we know otherwise. We know otherwise, ladies and gentlemen. How do we know otherwise? Because we have the facts. We have the facts. And since, for instance, the PPP has gone to Linden, since they went to Linden on January 26th, this has been the state of Linden in Region 10. Members from the St. John's Ambulance Brigade has been fired. 21 data entry clerks have been fired. The staff from the Linden National Data Management Authority have been fired. Directors from the Linden Board of Guardians have been fired. This is the PPP's record in Linden. While he's talking about caring for Linden and loving Linden, you see the hypocrisy? Directors from the Linden Enterprise Network have been fired. And we left to ask the question, if PPP love so nice, why does it hurt so bad for the staff of the St. John's Ambulance Brigade, for the 21 data entry clerks, for the staff of the National Data Management Authority in Linden, for the directors of the Linden Board of Guardians, for the directors of the Linden Enterprise Network? If the PPP love so nice, folks, why does it hurt so bad? But this is the fraudulent people that we're dealing with, right? And while he talks about being fair and transparent and all of that, while these people are being fired, check out who's being hired. All in the PPP. Then this is just 𝗂𝗪's family alone. This is just 𝗂𝗪's family alone, ladies and gentlemen. And so we want you to help us to keep them honest this evening. We need your help to keep them honest. all of the Ejel family members, sons, uncle, auntie, are in the public service all of a sudden. Never been there before, suddenly in the public service, while all the firings taking place in Linden. And this gentleman got the nerve and the gall to try to hoodwink us about their love for Linden. But what is their record on Linden? Yes, that is their record. And this is only since the cabinet outreach, January 26th. But they claim to be loving Linden so bad. That is what they don't want you to know. This is what they don't want you to know. That the PPP is about friends and family, but more about family. Friends and family, but more about family. And so we want you to take a good look at them. A good look at the old used tires. That is the PPP administration. And if you know where their family is employed in this government, let us know. Let me know. They claim to want transparency and accountability. You can't want nepotism at the same time. So all of these old used tires that calling themselves ministers, you guys have to let us know when they fire public servants, they employ friends and family. And that is how you help us to keep them accountable. All are involved and all are consumed. All are involved and all are consumed, folks. And that is why this evening, our good night to all except honor. Our good night to all except honor goes to none other than the good bishop, once more. Because they talk one thing and do something else. And that is hypocrisy. That is not transparency. It is not good governance. It is not accountability. You go to Linden and you see how you love and you want to develop Linden, but you're firing people Wild West, while your family members get good, nice, cushy jobs. So it's a good night to all except the Fisher Bishop. A good night to all except, ladies and gentlemen, the Fisher Bishop. Yep. A good night to all except the bishop. And as you know, we always have to bring you COVID information, and we didn't want to leave you out of some developments that are happening. Just today, the government put out that they received 3,000 doses of COVID-19. 3,000 doses of COVID-19 for a population of 400 and how many ever thousand. They received 3,000 doses from Barbados, compliments of 𝗵𝗵 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗵. I want to know what she's getting in return. The Honorable Prime Minister, 𝗵𝗵 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗵. And just in another example that the fraudulent Frank Anthony is just there for a photo op, but never does any of the hard work, never does any of the heavy lifting. So here's Frank Anthony posing for the photograph. What is his sidekick? Who does all the heavy lifting? Thanks, Frank. So while we receive only 3,000 doses, compliments of 𝗵𝗵 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗵, here was Dominica receiving 70,000. Now, if we got all these bright people in this government, Barrett and Irfan with the first degree from IFLOT and the master's and the PhD, we got Vindia, we got Frank, we got Robeson, we got 3 ministers of health in one ministry. We got Frank, we got Berry, we got Ramsamy. How come we get more vaccines from India? How come we get no vaccine from India? How come we get no vaccine from India? But Roosevelt Scarrett in Dominica gets 2 doses for each of the vulnerable persons in his country, 35,000 persons in Dominica are to be immunized. They get 70,000 doses, and we get 3,000 that we borrow, and we can't get from the Indian government. We can't get from the Indian government. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. We're probably not as good at deal making as we claim to be. While we're on that, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID figures has jumped. It is now 8,092 with 51 new cases. It is 8,092 with 51 new cases. Again, I encourage you to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize. No groups larger than 10. And even though restaurants and churches are now, I think, can seat 40% of their full seating capacity, 40% of that, go at your own risk. Don't go out if you don't have to, ladies and gentlemen. COVID is serious. And Dominica knows it is serious. That is why they got 70,000 doses. But apparently, we don't believe it is serious. And so we take a 3,000 borrow. We take a 3,000 borrow from Barbados. And we can't get Sparendaam to get anything from the Indian government for us. Folks, every morning for an hour on Zoom, I meet with members of the public one-on-one for any concerns that you have, anything that's bothering you, anything I can help you with, anything that we can help you with for an hour on Zoom. People call me on WhatsApp, they message me on Facebook, we meet in person, but I also provide this facility for persons who may not be able to come, maybe in some remote area, maybe in the diaspora with interest in Guyana. People call me from all over the place. So I'm reminding you that I'm available via Zoom every morning for an hour from 9 to 10, in addition to WhatsApp, in addition to Facebook Messenger, in addition to calling me directly, in addition to all the other ways in which you can meet me on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm available for you guys. If you have any concerns, I'll be happy to help in any way. This Zoom link and the credentials is usually pinned to my Facebook page at 𝗪 on Facebook. It's also pinned to my Twitter account, 𝗪 on Twitter. So if you need it, it's there. I'm here to serve you guys. Thanks for joining me this evening. I wish you and your family all the very, very best. Guys, again, COVID-19 is real. Stay safe. Thanks for joining me this evening. Stay safe, guys.